Hi everyone, it's Dr. Nathalie McLeod. Today I'd like to go over some full body stretches, getting a lot of our general larger muscle groups. One thing that I always like to tell my patients, and I like to tell everyone, is please make sure that you're doing it within your comfort zone. And if you have any injuries, especially in your wrists, shoulders, lower back, hips and knees, that there are some moves that you may need to either do modifications, or this may not be the best stretch video for you. Making sure that you have a block if you need one, and also you can use a blanket or your yoga mat flipped over for any of the movements we do today to protect your knees. I hope that you enjoy this full body class, and I know it's going to be nice and relaxing for most people. We're going to start in a seated position today, and we're going to start with a few deep breaths in and out. And then we're going to run through some neck exercises, followed by a little bit of stretching in the shoulders, lower back, through the hips, and then we'll end on our backs. Starting with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again, deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Sometimes it's really nice to get that intention in your head for what you want to work through with an exercise. Taking those deep breaths in and out, and just recognize what brought you to this stretch and this exercise today. We're going to start with some neck rolls. So you want to take your nose down and around in kind of a U shape, just semicircles to warm it up. Remembering that you're breathing through the whole exercise. And bringing your nose down towards your chest, we're going to look up and down. Nice and slow, making sure that the shoulders are rolled back and down, away from the ears. Just a few more stretches through here. Coming back to the center, and we're going to do back and forth, left to right, stretching it out. Remembering to breathe, keeping those shoulders down for the stretch, and making sure that if you're in a seated position here, that you're making sure that your back is straight, ears are over the shoulders, and you're nice in alignment. So now we're going to do shoulder shrugs up and down, making sure shoulders are back and down. Bringing the shoulders up with a shrug and down. Breathing in and out. And once again, shoulders up and down. We're going to move into a side stretch, so placing your hand on the side, you can tense your fingers or come all the way down, and your opposite hand is going to go over your head. You want to make sure that you keep your hips down in this position all the way across, and just stretching out to the side, taking a deep breath in. And on the exhale is where you can move a little bit further into the stretch, but making sure that you're not shaking. If you're shaking in the stretch or your hips coming off, you've gone too far. So then back out of the stretch. Stretching over. And then I want you to go diagonal just slightly. Let's get a little bit more in the lower back stretch here. And then coming back towards the center and all the way up. I want you to switch sides. We're going to stretch onto the other side. So placing your hand on the ground, you can tent it or place it flat again. And you're going to bring the opposite arm overhead and stretching out to the side. Recognize if one side is tighter than the other. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, all the way out, and making sure that you bring that arm over your ear. You don't want to be too far forward, too far back. Making sure that that hip is down as well. And then coming to the diagonal, taking that deep breath in, and out. And again, deep breath in and out. Okay, and coming back to the center, We're gonna come into tabletop position to do cat camel. Now this is where you can use a blanket or you can double up on your mat for your knees. And making sure that your elbow is over the wrists and that your hips are over the knees. Most people say there's not a big difference in placing the feet flat or having the toes curled under. Having the toes curled under does engage the calves a little bit more and protect the knees a little bit more, but you are free to choose whichever one you like. Making sure that you're breathing in and then that you're breathing out on cat. Breathing in and out. And again, we're going to do this a few times. We really want to warm up the spine here. Two more times. Going at your own pace, of course. I want you to bring it back to neutral, and you're going to bring your right leg forward, however which way you want to get into that move. And you're going to make sure that your knee is in line with the ankle, and we're going to do a hip flexor stretch. So you want to make sure that you're pulling that right hip back, left hip forward, and you can place your right hand nice and relaxed on the side, and bringing your left hand, you're going to follow it over so you can get that nice hip flexor stretch through here. You can come a little bit forward if you like, just making sure that that knee doesn't go past the toes. You're going to take a deep breath in and all the way out. Making sure that you're really trying to bring the legs in and in, kind of like grabbing the mat so you have more stability through your core, and making sure that you're tucking that tailbone under. Stretch it out for a few more seconds. Now, here's the kicker. You can continue stretching your hip flexor, or if you have the flexibility, you can actually go back, grab your toes, and stretch out that quad as well. Holding this for a few seconds. And letting it go. We're going to come back. You can scoop back the knee if you need to, but you're going to bring that right heel up towards the nose into a hamstring stretch. Now, here's what's important about this stretch. Breathe through it right now as you're working through this stretch, but making sure that your back is straight. If I'm going to collapse like this, I'm putting too much pressure through my back. I want to be flexing at my hips and making sure I'm nice and straight. So this is as far as I can go today because I'm tight. Okay? I should probably even get some blocks and come up here. And if you're bending forward like this, it's not going to be good for the back. So you want to keep it nice and straight. Really think about pulling that ankle in towards you to access strengthen that area and stretch out that hamstring. Okay, coming back up, we're going to switch to the other side. So you're going to bring your left leg up, tucking that tailbone under, placing your left hand just relaxed on that thigh, and other arm up and over. Remembering to keep the knee in line with the ankle, and remembering to really think about zipping up. I love the zip up the corset idea because you really want to make sure that you're always using your core whenever you're doing even stretches. Remember that you're breathing in and breathing out through all the stretches. And if you want to in this position, you can continue stretching the hip flexor, or you can grab your toe, see if you got the balance, whoop, and stretch it out. Oh, that feels so good. Remembering that you have both hips facing forward. Left hip coming back, right hip coming forward. Holding it for a few more seconds. And relaxing that down. We're going to go into that hip stretch, or hamstring stretch, I mean. So coming back, remembering that you're straight through here, and toes back right towards that nose. Remember to breathe in and out. We're going to hold this for a few seconds as well. Remember to breathe in and out. And on the exhale is when you can try to go a little bit more and deeper into that stretch. One more time, deep breath in. And all the way out. See if you can get a little bit further. All right, coming on up, we're gonna come into butterfly position. So with this, it is actually really nice if you can use a block or a blanket. You wanna get those hips up a little bit higher because you can really stretch through the groin area, the adductors a little bit more. So coming into butterfly, and we're just gonna sit up in this position. So you can place your hands just below the knees or by the ankles as long as you're making sure that you have a straight back in the position. We're gonna take a deep breath in, all the way out, and you're gonna come forward with a straight back, stretching into this area. Deep breath in again, all the way out. See if you can go a little bit further. Okay, and now you can just bend all the way forward and stretch it out. And try to think about getting those elbows in the knees to really stretch them out a little bit more through that area. We're gonna hold this stretch a little bit longer. We wanna make sure that we're getting a lot of those big muscles. So right now we've already worked through the neck, a little bit through the shoulders, and we've worked on the hip flexors, the quads, and the hamstrings. Okay, so coming on up, now we're gonna bring the legs apart for splits. And you wanna make sure that your sitting bones are down and that you're bringing your toes in so that you're accessing the strength in that quad. So engage the kneecaps by engaging your quads. And you're gonna be up in the seated, sitting up straight. You can put your hands behind you to brace you or in front, but if you have the flexibility, you can come forward. As you can tell, I'm really tight today, so this is as far as I'm gonna go because it keeps my back straight. Once again, you're trying to avoid collapsing down. It's not gonna get you the strength and the stretch that you want through your hips. So holding this position. Remember, on the exhale is when you can stretch a little bit further. See if you can make it a little bit further down. Holding a little bit longer in this position. Remember to engage those quads, engage the kneecaps. You're gonna come up and we're gonna bend one leg in and we're gonna do a side stretch into this area. So when you're doing the side stretch, you wanna make sure that you're keeping that one hip towards the ground as you're stretching over towards the other toe. You can try and go for the toe, but see how I collapse forward a little bit? That's not gonna be beneficial for me. You wanna make sure that you're placing your, if you can, your elbow all the way down to the ground, but to the side is fine, and then all the way over. Coming back up, you're going to rotate, and then you're gonna go over that knee and stretch it out. So you should feel a little bit through the lower back here as well as into the thigh, and you should still be engaging your quad for the kneecap. And you can go for the toe if you like, or down through the ground, however far you can make it with this. Hold it, breathing in again, all the way out, holding the stretch for a few more seconds. And we'll switch to the other side. Up. And there goes a pop, nice release. Making sure that you're sitting up straight. You can relax your hand either on the thigh or in, arm up and over, and recognize which side might be tighter than the other. As you work through these stretches, obviously you're going to increase your flexibility. One thing that you can really be aware of when you're stretching is that you actually engage the bigger muscle group. If you can engage the bigger muscle group and hold it for a few seconds and then relax, you're actually going to increase your flexibility faster. Coming on up and then twisting at the torso and coming down to stretch over that leg. Remember to engage the quad. Remember to breathe in and out, nice and slow and rhythmic. Okay, coming on up, I'm just gonna move this block over. I want us to come back into child's pose, just to stretch out the lower back, get a little bit of that shoulder in again, and then we'll go on to our back for some more work. So coming back into child's pose, you can make sure that your ankles are together, knees are spread apart a little bit. And you're gonna spread your hands forward, and you can either keep the hands engaged with the elbows off the mat, or you can relax it all the way down into a more relaxing stretch with the elbows down on the ground and forehead to the mat. We're going to take 5 deep breaths in and out here. And really think on the exhale of trying to get your butt closer to your heels. Two more breaths. And on this last breath, you're going to take your left hand and you're going to needle it under the right hand to stretch out the back of the shoulder and upper back. You can keep that right hand forward and try to look under your right armpit. Breathing in and out. Feeling that release. And switch to the other side. Thread the right arm underneath that left one, right ear to the ground, and try to look under your left armpit. Taking those deep breaths in and out. Remember to still try to get your butt towards your heels, even while you're stretching through that shoulder. Okay, come on up. Now, before we go on our backs, we're going to do pigeon pose. So you're going to come into that tabletop again, and you're going to bring your right leg forward, and you're going to try to get it into sort of a horizontal position with the mat, and you're going to take that other leg back. Now, we're going to sit up a little bit to get a little bit of strengthening through here, making sure that you dorsiflex your ankles, so bring those toes up. And then as you feel comfortable, you can come forward a little bit in that stretch. Making sure that you're bringing that right hip back, left hip forward, and that you're trying to keep your hips level in this position. Remembering to breathe through the stretch. Now, if you can't get it completely horizontal, because that requires a lot of flexibility, you can always bring that heel in a little bit more. You're still going to get that stretch through the hips. Now, you can keep stretching in this position. If you are able to, you can grab your left toes with your right hand and stretch into the quad a little bit more. Remembering to breathe. A few more seconds. If you're holding on to your quad, you can release that leg down, and then we're going to come back up into a tabletop position. And just give yourself a little, fix your mat if you need to too, and move into the other side. Now remember, each side is going to be different for flexibility. Bringing that left leg forward, right leg back. Remember to dorsiflex the ankle. We're going to come up into this position, hold the strength. Breathe in and out, and then come forward. Remembering to try to bring that left hip back, right hip forward. If you want to use a block or a blanket, you can also tuck it underneath that side so you can really relax into the position and feel the muscles almost disengage, for lack of a better term. And if you'd like to on this side, you can stretch the quad out. So with your left hand, grabbing your right toes, you can stretch into the quad. Quadriceps muscle. Remembering to breathe. If you're holding on to the toes, you can relax that down. And then we're all going to come back up into a tabletop position. And very slowly, we're going to come onto our backs. Now, with this one, we're going to engage a little bit through the core. So we're going to bring the legs up into 90 degrees. And you're going to bring your hands out to the side with the palms down, or you can do goalpost arms, whatever's more comfortable for you. And you're going to release the legs over towards the right side, but don't touch the ground. And then use that core, bring them back to the center, and move to the other side. Now at your own pace, we're going to go side to side a few times, and then we're going to do the side stretch. Remembering to breathe. So depending on where you're at, let's do one more time per side. And if you've done that, you're going to take it over towards the right side, and you're going to relax the legs all the way down into a side twist. Now with this, if your neck's feeling okay, turn your head towards the left-hand side away from your knees. And if you want an even bigger stretch, you can actually extend the other leg on top. You can also use your right hand to apply a little bit more pressure on that side if you like as well. Remembering to breathe in and out. And we're going to switch to the other side. So your knees are going towards the left side now. Remember to dorsiflex the toes, the ankles. And you can turn your neck towards the right side. You can either place your left hand on top of that right thigh, or if you want an even bigger stretch too, you can extend the upper leg. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Remembering to do that big breath into the abdomen. One more time. And exhale. Coming onto our backs. We're going to finish off with a little bridge pose. Very important to do bridge. You want to bring your knees in as close to your butt as you can. And what you're going to be doing is very slowly engaging and bringing your spine up off the floor, making sure that you're really squeezing the legs together, thinking about gripping the floor and bringing your heels back so you're engaging the hamstrings and the glutes. And we're going to hold this, making sure that your chin is off your chest and your chest is coming up towards your chin or towards the ceiling. And we're going to come back down. We're going to do that one more time. All the way down. And then tucking your legs into a big ball. Tuck, 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 tuck. And exhale, letting it all go and relax. Bring your hands up overhead. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then hands by your side. Legs out just a little bit. Most people will know this as corpse pose. And just taking a moment to recognize that you've had a really good stretch. Maybe you had an intent at the beginning of our exercise little stretch class. And also, if there's anything you feel compelled to stretch that I might have missed, now's a good time to go into that stretch. So I encourage you to take a few more minutes to do Savasana. It's always important to spend some time on ourselves and take care of us in terms of self-care. If there's any questions or concerns that you may have, then feel free to leave a comment below. And I really hope that you enjoyed the stretch class.